And as because the different kits may come with different containers, you may see a little different container. I didn't realize going to buy the containers for it how many kits we're going to need, and of course then I didn't realize that they would run out of stock of some of the things that we had. So that's what we've got here. Now, if you'll take a look at these, what we got here is a transmission dry demo. Now we've already added some BBs to this. Now transmission, what we've used is the wider magnets that you've seen. So what we'll do with this is we're just going to take it here and give it a shake. And you see here. Now, take a look in there if you could, just get a good look at that. And what I want you to see really is what the spread is on that. And you see how many things we've got in there. And this is obviously a duplication in some respects, but what we're looking at is, see all the things that magnetize themselves all the way down? Now, if you can, try to get the camera up close to that if you could right there. And if you could take a look at it, can you see the pink that is in there? So what that's shown is it's not only picked up just the metal materials, but also obviously some of the other material is attached to that metal that comes up, so we're also cleaning out some of that as well. So that would be a good example of a dry. Okay, now here's the one with the wet, and we'll do basically the same thing with it. We're just going to set our magnets on it and give it a good shake there. Now remember, this sits on the bottom of a transmission pan, but as you can see, look in the bottom there, but you can see if you turn this over, then you see all through, and you can see where it's captured it. Now, to better demonstrate it though, this is the reason that I only use it partially full, is so that you do have this visual. So when you're showing it to your customers, you want to be able to have a visual so that they can see that. If you'll see and look here how far out around this magnet it has gone. So it's collected a lot farther than what it would appear to be capable of because of the size of the square here. But this square can actually go out, and we'll show you with another one here how far that one can go. So that would be our dry demonstration. So I'm going to put this one back in here. And if you have noticed by now, if you haven't had your fingers pinched, then congratulations, I think that's fantastic. These magnets are pretty powerful. So be cautious, and I would recommend that you don't have your customers handle two at a time, just one at a time. Okay, these demos are fairly obvious, but we'll go through the steps anyway to look at them here. Now, some of you may have received the old style magnets, and in the old style magnets, I may have had a problem with them popping out the backside. I assure you these will not pop out the backside. They're a much tighter fit, a harder plastic. It's been reconstructed, and it's a fantastic little addition to our other. So I'll get that baby back over here. So now basically, whoops, we'll take the same thing and we'll take that fluid and just run around. I've had people tell me, well, you know, because I used to do it just where I set them still, and obviously all the magnetics will go to it. But engine oil is flowing. Well, you're right, it is. So that's the reason. Do a shaky demo, and it's not only stirs up your magnet, stirs up your product. But okay, so now I'm going to take a look at that, and I'm going to pour a little bit of this back into the motor oil. That's an example of where I got too much in there, and now I can't demo it properly. So we'll just pour a little bit of motor oil back in there. That should be good. Now, everyone should have received a towel in your package, and put that in there because there's obviously we're working with liquids, so have something to keep your samples clean with. Demos with. Okay, so now when we take a look at it, we're able to see, and you can see where the metal is caught in there. And you can do the same thing again if you wanted to add beads to it, whatever you wanted to do to give an example of how much it's going to collect. So that pretty much will kind of take you through that. So what we've got in our kits that are there for you, oops, these little boxes here were, again, when we had the other magnets that were slimmer and came apart, and the new magnets are bigger than the other ones, so as a result of that we got some of that. So anyway, we've got here, we're going to have, I'll be able to have like 4 or 5 magnets there. Feel free then to take one of those off if you need be and leave that with the customer. Let him do some demonstration purposes for himself. I would recommend, if you're going to do a demo, put it on a transmission pan and run it for about 1,000 miles. After 1,000 miles, bring the vehicle back in, pull a pan back down, drain the fluid, pull a pan and drain the fluid, and then just look at what you've got around this thing here. You're quite likely going to discover that most of the magnetism is drawn around this square right here. It's all fully magnetized in here, but this real hard strength of the north poles and the south poles are going to be on the sides and ends. So that's where you're going to see most of your collection. Now, to give you a little bit of an example of that, here we have, I'll take this off of here. So if you'll take a look inside of here, we've just got some of the ferrous material. So I'm going to take this magnet and put it on the bottom, and then we'll shake that around a little bit. Again, obviously it has no fluid in it, it's a dry sample, but if you take a look, that gives you an example of what I was talking about. Okay, so set that back over there. So needless to say, you didn't have a transmission pan in your sample kit, but I would recommend that you get one. I would recommend that you carry things like an engine oil filter. You know, it's always nice to do that demo where you take that. Now, let's take a tear filter. Let them see what it's going to look like on them. Let them get a feel for it. See the kind of power that it's got, and help them to understand it. So if we've done that, here I've got an old filter that we just cut the top off of. So they can see it's a regular old filter screws in. What we don't have is the paper medium in here, the filter itself. So this gives us a real clear opening here. So when our magnet is on there, we can see that the distance that we're trying to collect from is what doesn't go through the ferrous material, or through the paper filter, paper medium, is going to be pulled over to here. So as it circles around through the filter, it's pulled back over to this side, and that's simply how it collects there. So again, another good piece to have with you on your demo. The metal pieces that you saw in some of the demos were just simply BBs, and I'm not sure if everyone has BBs where you're at, but it's just from a little pellet gun. There's lots of little ball bearing substitutions that you can make if you can get some just slag of any kind. You can do that, but also just typical Daisy BBs are good. When you receive the magnets, they're going to be packaged in a box like this. So I have a nice box, nice strength, because they are going to be carrying magnets. Okay, so then they'll be wrapped simply in a bag such as this, and get your magnet out at that time. So that's the way that they'll come for you. Take these, put these away. You'll see some different containers. As I said, we've got the ferrous material in one of these in this particular box. So we do have a few different things. Some of you may see one like this. You can duplicate what you're going to do with this one with this one. So either one of these will work fine. I'll give you an example. You can see it's got some of the BBs and the metal pieces in there, as well as a little bit of steel and a little bit of the other. And the reason that I use this particular tool for this is, again, we're going to demonstrate the thickness that we've got of the pan. We don't have the advantage of the metal pan being able to pull and magnetize the area all around it in the glass, but it does, for the size of this works out just fine. If I had a little metal box that was metal on the bottom, would be even better. So what we're going to do, again, the transmission fluid is laying on the bottom. Your heavier items are going to go to the bottom, but we're going to show through purposes of the demo. So this is representing, of course, your magnetism as the magnet goes through the vehicle's driving and all that. So now, as we take a look at it, you can see on the bottom side of it, you can see what's collected, but it's a lot easier. Now I'm able to take this to the customer and show it to them, and we're also going to be able to show them some of the pink sand that is collected in there. We're going to see that it's collected around an area that's even larger than what the magnet is, and would continue to do so as we've seen in previous demonstrations. But I like this one. It just simply gives them a chance to take a look at it and see the kind of power that you've got there, and just look at it. It's an important thing when you're doing demonstrations is to know your demo. You need to practice it. If you're doing this particular demonstration and you're quiet and you go, well, what do we want? So what was the difference in those two demonstrations? During the first one, I continued to talk, okay? So we headed in here, and I'm simply going to talk about, this is the way the transmission would be with the fluid flowing on a regular basis going through the transmission. So then what we discover is, now see what I did is, rather than it sounding like I'm shaking forever to try to get the magnets in that spot, what I did is I kept conversation going and getting to this. You know, our job is salesmen. You know, we're selling a product. We've got a piece here that is very marketable. It's one that should be on the market for a long, long time, and provides a value for your customer. Now, we're going to do another video that will go a bit more in depth than this. We're going to talk about some of the sales techniques that we'll use with it. We'll talk about potential types of customers to go to. We'll talk about some of the questions that you may have had regarding GOS and densities and other kind of contaminations. So we're going to go pretty deep into the subject, but we want to kind of do this portion first because these are already being sent out to the field. So we want you to know how to put it together, how to feel comfortable with it. If your kit varies a little bit from this, if you see something that's different, like we had this, and a lot of times I use that when I'm pouring these in, and I can measure up to however many I want. I get used to a certain amount. So I've got something like that scoop there. So that's the way that we use those. So if there's any questions in regards to the things we've talked about today, please don't hesitate to email me those questions, and I will be glad to include those in the next video that we do so that everybody gets the answer, and whatever we talk about at that time we can get back to then. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.